Welcome to the October 29th, 2024 City Council meeting. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today's session opens. We pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction, which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the vision, the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Getchia.
Here.
Council Janess.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson. Mayor Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott.
Here.
Council Yem.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Dakota.
What's that?
Yep.
Any moments of silence? We're moving on to Mayor's Business 2.1, communication and remote Zoom participation. Motion to accept the place on file by Councilor Belanger, second by Councilor Getchia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 3.2, a vote for the canceling of the City Council meeting on 11/25/24. Waive the full reading and the second reading by title. Is there a motion to adopt by Councilor Yem, seconded by Councilor Noon, Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For what reason are we canceling this meeting? Can anybody tell me?
It's election night, Council Mercia, and there's a directive that's from the Secretary of State's office says the best practice is not to hold the public hearing, and in fact, there are some hearings that can't be held. So just kind of going along with the Secretary of State's, and historically it's been done prior occasions.
Someone is saying we shouldn't hold the meeting. Who's saying that?
There's a directive that's been out from the Secretary of State's office that the best practice is not to hold a public hearing on the night of the election.
Well, what do you mean by a public hearing?
A city council meeting.
A city council meeting is a
any
public hearing? I mean, if this were an election year for the city council, I could understand that. I would be in agreement if this were a city council meeting and we were running for re-election or we were running for election, but I would make a substitute motion to have a city council meeting, have the agenda light, have the city manager submit any items that we deem very important, and call it a day. There's no need to cancel a city council meeting on election day. The election are we opening the mayor's reception room for an election on November 5th? I don't think so. Isn't today the last day for it being in this room across the hall?
Either Friday, maybe?
Oh, maybe Friday, but not next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, are we having voting in this city hall building? I don't think so. So what's the problem? I don't get it. I mean, are we holding signs for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? I don't know. I would.
As a suggestion made by the Secretary of State's office, ask us to go forward.
Don't get me wrong. I appreciate a day off. I really, truly do. But I don't see the importance of it, and I don't care what the Secretary of State says. I don't see a need to cancel it. I really.
Yeah, that's why it's before us today, that's all. So we can vote however you want to vote on it.
But I have a substitute motion before us to just make the agenda light.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Want to read it, Mr. Clerk?
Substitute motion by Council Mercia, go forward with the city council meeting regarding just having a light agenda on.
Right. Now, maybe the manager has something important, he has to have a vote on it. I could understand that.
Councilor Getchia?
While I agree with Councilor Mercier, I think that a light agenda is very subjective. If somebody has a motion, put in a motion. I do also agree with Councilor Mercier on the end where, the Secretary of State says a lot of things, but other communities have meetings the same night also. So it's not like other communities just shut down for it. So I agree we should have a meeting, so I thank her for putting that forward.
Roll call.
Roll call on the substitute motion. Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. 10 yeas.
Thank you.
Moving, general public hearings, not yet being 7 o'clock.
You didn't do the minutes.
I'm sorry, yeah. Back to section 3, sorry. City Clerk, 3.1, minutes of the nonprofit organization subcommittee, October 22nd, and City Council regular meeting, October 22nd for acceptance. Motion by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Chow. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. General public hearings will be put off until 7 p.m. Moving on to motions. We have a motion by Councilor Yem to take 7.4 out of order, seconded by Councilor Scott. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 7.4 is a communication, appointments to the Lowell Youth Commission. Do we have Mr. Mingus here, or Mr. Machado, you want to take it over from here?
I want to just read the names. Read the names. Yeah.
I don't see her actually in the room yet. She's back there.
Bill, you can come up.
Good evening, councilors. We're here for the Youth Commission appointment.
Awesome, and I'll just read the three names, Mr. Mingus. We have Antonia Bryant, term expires October 29th, 2027. Rafael Cotto, which term expires October 29th, 2007. And Tamara, I don't want to say that, I want to butcher it.
Woroike.
Enrique, thank you very much. Expires also October 29th, 2027. Confirmation by the City Council is not required, but it's a letter of notification. So on behalf of the City Council, we want to thank you for stepping up and doing this very important role. And we wish you the best of luck. And Mr. Mingus, I'll give it to you from here.
We want to say thank you, and we're looking forward to this commission in Lowell. Thank you.
Awesome. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that this council doesn't need our approval, but I read the resumes, and I'm completely impressed with the caliber of each of these three individuals. And if I had to, I would be honored to support the mayor's decision in these appointments. Congratulations. You're a credit to the city. I'm very proud of each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Motion by Councilor Mercia to adopt and accept, seconded by Councilor Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Once again, thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I make a motion to suspend the rules? We received an email late Friday after the agenda was out, and it is time sensitive, and so I'd like to bring it forward and allow a speaker to present something. It's pretty much urging or looking for support from the council. Just to support it's HIP funding for Mill City Grows, and our support.
Motion by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Getchia. Councilor Robinson, go ahead.
I'd like to call, if possible, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Courtney McSparron to the podium.
Name
Thank
and
you.
address, please.
Pardon? Oh, my name is Courtney McSparron. I'm at 18 Fremont Street in Centerville, Lowell. I want to thank you guys for having me today. I know that I emailed out Friday to all of you, so I apologize for that. This has been very pressing the last few days for us. I just am here tonight to inform the City Council of recent changes in the subsidy to the HIP program that will greatly affect the residents of Lowell, area farmers, and most definitely Mill City Grows. And I would like to read the letter that I sent out to all of you, but we've also sent out to most Lowell nonprofit organizations, leaders, and other politicians. The letter reads, "It is essential to the well-being of our neighbors, families, and community members that the Massachusetts legislature immediately fund a supplemental budget of $10 million for fiscal year 2025 to fund the Healthy Incentive Program. Since 2017, the Healthy Incentive Program, also known as HIP, has provided SNAP users with $40, $60, or $80 additional dollars each month to purchase food from participating farmers markets, farm stands, or CSA. On October 17th, the Department of Transitional Assistance, based on projected budget shortfall of $10 million for the year, decided to reduce the family's HIP benefits by half or more until the end of this fiscal year. This means that families who have been relying on the HIP benefit of $40 a month or more of fresh fruits and vegetables to their household will only have $20 a month. In addition, this means that farmers markets, farm stands, mobile markets, and CSAs that have built their enterprise around this benefit will take a significant financial loss. We believe that HIP is critical to improving food security and public health in Lowell. Mill City Grows' 2022 Lowell Community Food Assessment showed that 35% of Lowellians experience food insecurity, and that the biggest barrier to accessing food is affordability. Barriers for accessing fresh, nutritious food contribute directly to diet-related health conditions in our community. And in 2020, a survey among Lowell Community Health Center participants showed that 25% of participants had hypertension, 13% were diagnosed with diabetes, and 10% have asthma, all of which can be helped with fresh local produce. Food insecurity and chronic illness are higher in Lowell, Southeast Asian, and Latinx communities, sometimes twice as high as in white households. In Lowell, the usage of HIP has increased 150% since 2020, which is something I think the city should be very proud of. There are many communities that have not had that kind of increase. This has been through advocacy and education about the benefit, combined with mobile markets, farmers markets, CSAs, food as medicine programs, outreach, and education. Drastically reducing this benefit will lead to increased food insecurity, illness, and great harm to our neighbors. HIP also supports 285 Massachusetts farmers at farmers markets, mobile markets, and farm stands. There are 25 farmers that run HIP CSA programs, 38 farmers markets, 12 mobile markets that operate 109 stops, and 59 farmers that operate 66 farm stands just in the month of December. So even though it is winter, these are all still happening and available to folks. We recognize and thank our elected officials who are already striving to pass this emergency funding, and we urgently ask all members of the state legislature, as well as the governor, to take swift and decisive action to fully fund HIP with a supplemental budget of $10 million and to continue to fund it appropriately in future budgets to ensure this population and critical program continues to help our communities. So that is the letter. I have sent it to all of you. We have gotten many signatures so far from Lowell-based organizations and leaders, and I ask that as a city council, you take it into consideration to sign it as a united front, both to show the state legislation, but also the people of Lowell that we're behind them, especially those suffering with food insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing the speaker, and thank you to the speaker. I'd make a motion that we sign a letter in support of urging the governor and to supplement and fully fund this shortfall.
Second by Councilor Gitche. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Yeah,
While we
Like-
on the suspension.
Yeah, I got one. Hold on. Yeah. Motion by Councilor Belanger to take motion response F out of order.
That's
that goes too?
second, yeah.
Second by Councilor Yem. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Motion response F 7-1 is a LHA Merrimack Corridor Affordable Housing Development Plan. That was by Councilor Yem. Mr. Machado or Councilor, who wants to take it first?
Okay.
I'd like to call up Executive Director Todd Chan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Assistant City Manager. I am honored to be invited to speak before the entire council and everyone else in this chamber today. This gives me the opportunity to provide an update on the current project that the Lowell Housing Authority have in the pipeline. Our team at the Housing Authority clearly understand and recognize the need of affordable housing and understand that our city is currently facing the severe shortage of affordable housing. And it's well documented. It's in the Lowell Forward Master Plan. It's in the city consolidating plan. And as a housing authority, we recognize our role. Our primary goal is to provide affordable housing. But we also understand that we cannot address this housing crisis alone because we are not that big, we are small. But what we can do is we can contribute to the overall solution of affordable housing crisis in the city. So in response to the demand of affordable housing, and also stay consistent with the city consolidating plan, Lowell Housing Authority team, my team over here, it's not just me, put together a long-term strategic plan to develop more affordable housing within our city. I am happy to share with you that we are working on 3 different affordable housing project development right now. The first is the Merrimack Street corridor, and I will come back to this in a minute. The second is 32 affordable home ownership at River's Edge on the Concord. And we are working with IFDC to Resident First Development Corporation to develop the pre-development plan. The third project is the 23 affordable housing unit at 23 unit affordable housing unit at 39 Quimby Street in the Highland. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Manager and the Assistant City Managers, Giovanni Bias and her team for putting together the fit study for us. And I can share with you that we engage with the Mass Housing Partnership to move forward with the first phase of feasibility study over there. Now, let me get back to the Merrimack Street corridor. The Merrimack Street corridor will consist of 118 affordable housing units. And that would include 41 one-bedroom units, 62 two-bedroom units, and 15 three-bedroom units, a total of 118 units. 75% of the total unit would be deeply affordable, which will offer to family and individual with 50% or less of the AMI. Now, to move forward with this project on July 18, through the competitive process, Lowell Housing Authority select Trinity Finance, Inc. as a development partner. We have been working together to prepare the application to submit by the end of November, within the next couple of weeks, to EOLC. And the final application will be submitted before the end of February 2025. And that is the 3 projects we are working on. But before I end my update presentation, I'd just like to highlight a few things. To ensure that this project can be developed, 118 units on Merrimack Street corridor, Lowell Housing Authority will commit all available resources within our possession. Housing Authority will commit $6.8 million toward the total cost of the total development cost. And 1.05 acre of land for this project. And to ensure the future success of this development, Lowell Housing Authority work with HUD and will follow the rule and regulation to provide Section 8 project-based subsidy. And in addition to this, we also seek HUD funding and support for 28 fair class to red subsidy. And in fact, we just received the preliminary approval from HUD that they approved 28 fair class to red subsidy for this project. Now, the other component that we also, I believe, think that would play a major role in the success of this project is the supportive service component. We will provide supportive services to our residents that living in that new project there. Now, our team will continue to explore more resources for this project. including 20 VAS voucher, Veteran Affairs Housing Supportive voucher for this building. We're looking to get 20 of them in addition to what we have. So those are all the critical components to support this project. But in order to propel this project forward, we're going to need the support of our community partner. We're going to need the support of our member of our delegation. And this project will not be possible without the support of the local authority. So on behalf of the Lowell Housing Authority, I'm standing here tonight asking you for your support. Mr. Mayor, that would conclude my update. And once again, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak before the council and everyone tonight, indeed.
Mr. Chan, thank you very much. Councilor Young made the motion. Councilor Young, you go first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Tachan, for the presentation. As a councillor representing the area, I'm very excited, and we are in support of Lowell Housing Authority in the housing production that the city of Lowell really needed. So we are committed as a council, as this body, and as the manager's office in supporting your projects there. In addition to providing affordable housing for the city, this development will revitalize that area. Particularly, I'm excited that the Cater Street is going to be enlarged and it can be beautiful. Right now, it's really kind of run down. So now this project will improve that area, complement the acre crossing that is next to it. So I also want to say that in addition to provide housing stock, increase the housing stock in the city of Lowell, I noticed that you provide 20 units for veterans, which is very, very important for our veterans who need housing. So you achieve all of that, and we are, particularly myself as a councillor, support wholeheartedly of this project. Thank you again for coming, and thank you for your team and to your team to put this together. Thank you.
And Councilor Robinson, Mercy then get you. So Councilor Robinson, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for your presentation. Do you mind just briefly touching on something you brought up, the supportive services being provided? What does that entail?
Well, currently the Housing Authority has 3 different components of the supportive services. Okay, one is called Family Self-Sufficiency Program. State and federal both provide that supportive services. The other program is home ownership, Section 8 home ownership program. And we also have it's a new department we just created, our team just created, called Resident Services Department, that would provide almost not entirely exactly as wraparound services, but other service component, especially targeting low income and elderly and disabled family, connecting the services and supported with other components that they need. Yeah.
And through that last one you mentioned, you'll be obviously working with community partners that are in place, already providing those
That
services.
is correct. In fact, we already have one of our staff is part of the member of our local community group, and they met once a month. So we play a major role in that group too. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Mercia.
I didn't have my hand up.
Councilor Getchia, sorry.
Thank you. I support the project wholeheartedly, but there are concerns for me when I look at some of the properties Lowell Housing Authority has now. We talk about Bishop Markham and over there. So that's my question. So how are we going to maintain more properties when we're having issues with the ones we currently have?
All right. If you like to, Mr. Mayor, can I answer it in a way that I can understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Let me answer this question this way. The Housing Authority received federal funding, capital funding. We receive about $6.5 million per year, and among those $6.5 million, 4.5 would be dedicated to substantial anything that we need to do with the building structure. But among those 4.5, 3.9 million would be dedicated to the major infrastructure. Now, please note that most of our building were constructed between 123 to 144 years ago. That's state property. Federal, most of our building is more than 70 years old. So it got to the point that most of the critical infrastructure required to be either replaced or upgraded at this point. And it's including elevator, building envelope, okay, underground pipe, utility infrastructure. Just the elevator alone, replace each elevator would cost us more than $1 million. We receive about 4.5 million, 6.5, but 2 million out of those, 30% of those dedicated for operation, because we do have to pay for relocation and everything else. So we have $4 million per year, right? $4.5 million per year. Just replace one elevator, it costs sometimes more than $1 million, because you're not just replacing elevator, you already have to take into consideration relocating resident that cannot use the stairway, pay for the hotel, hiring staff to do all of that. So it costs more. Now, just one elevator take $1 million. Imagine if we have to replace two. With all of those funding dedicated for critical infrastructure, what remain is $986,000 this year, right now, as of now. That's what we have in our possession. And we have a total for federal unit, 1613. Divide by that, the amount of funding that I have available for each unit is about $612. You can't even afford one window. So what happened in order to maintain this property, what I continue to do is seeking for additional funding. We seek for more funding from federal government. In fact, last year we joined together with other housing authorities seeking funding from EPA. We submit for $8 million so that we can bring that and to our housing authority and use that funding to do some upgrade in our infrastructure.
Mr. Mayor,
And the city flows through.
Could I interrupt you for a minute? I'm not talking about that piece. I'm talking about maintaining the security. When you talk about elderly and low-income people together, like Bishop Markin, and drug dealers running in and out of the place, and the place being secure, that's our issue right now over there, is the security of that building and maintaining the area over there and keeping people away. We get emails, and every person on here has seen the emails about the housing authority taking care of their property, securing it. We even put a police precinct in over there, and we're still not maintaining that. And you guys have cameras in there. So I don't know how this continues to happen, but we need to help those people over there. And I'm not sure by putting more in and putting low-income people, elderly, and everybody mixed in like this, how are we going to secure the environment so they have a quality of living? That's what the question really is. I agree with the affordable housing piece. I agree with everything you're doing, except for the piece on how are we going to secure these units so that people can have a quality of life over there. And that's what we've all have talked about. That's what we all have gone after. So are we building more that we can't secure, or is there going to be a working relationship that we're talking about as we put a police precinct in over there to try to do this to help the people over there? That's what the question is. I love the project, but while we have here, those are our questions, at least my question. I won't speak for the other 10 councilors. But when you see people sending us emails after emails of people over there and pictures of people coming in and doing these things, we need you as the partner. So in order to get my vote, I need you to help me so that when people don't keep sending me stuff. So I need your help right now in straightening it out over there.
So, Mr. Chan, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, there was a motion filed, to get back to us concerning the security and how it's going to go on over there.
Yeah.
Can we expect that response back in the next week or two, maybe?
Yes, but can I, okay. The Lowell Housing Authority technically been working closely with the city. And
I think, again, Councilor Gitche's concerns are very legitimate. So I think we'd all prefer a straight answer, right? And I know you're not here for that tonight, and so I don't want to put you on the spot as far as that goes. But if we could just maybe get a response in the next week or two,
yes.
In regards to that motion, I think we'd be all well off, and we won't keep you here till midnight. Make
Great.
sense?
Yep.
Thank you very much, Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Thank you for giving Mr. Chan, a opportunity to respond in the form of written and maybe also present as well to answer any question that's not reflected in that report. My question is pertaining to the development, River Edge development. I know that we've been asking as to where we at on it. I know Director Chan has been in contact, close contact with the delegation. Can you update us as to where we at on the River Edge project? Thank you.
Again, I just in respect to Councilor Gitche, what he just brought up, right? That's a separate motion that was also filed. I'm sure we'll get a response back on that. I mean, if you want to send this all to a housing subcommittee and talk about all of it at once, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not sure it's necessarily fair to start peppering him with questions now about things that he's not here on. He's here to answer the Merrimack corridor. And I'm not trying to protect him or anything, but you come here thinking talk about steak and talking about broccoli and chicken, right? So I'm just saying, I think if you want to make a motion to send to the subcommittee, we can do that and do it all at once.
Mr. Mayor,
At that point in time.
Mr. Mayor, I understand, but Director Chan's talking about the Merrimack corridor, one of the project, and then talking about the projects in the Highlands as well as the project in the South Low, and that's my question is about the project in South Low, and that's where we at, and that's why he's here to report on. Maybe a brief update on that would be satisfying, and then he can expand on that in the written report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank the Lowell Housing Authority, the director, for having a place to put people that are of low income. I'm not a landlord. It's not easy to be a landlord. You have problems, I understand. But every time we have a concern, you're here. You're responsive. You're alert. I'm very, very proud of the Lowell Housing Authority and the people that do all the work day in and day out. We are watchdogs to some degree where we hear concerns and we address it and you respond to it. So the partnership that we have here is wonderful. So thank you for coming forward. Thank you for being here. I'm sure we're going to get your responses. God bless you and keep up the good work. Keep working for us, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we got a motion by Councilor Yam, second by Councilor Scott to send all of this to a housing subcommittee. So I see Mr. Briere back there anxiously taking notes. So you have a lot to talk about on whatever date we do it, and we'll go from there. That makes sense?
Thank you.
All right, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Councilor Gitche.
Thank you.
I'd like to suspend the rules to take motion 6.14, Mayor Rourke's motion out of order.
Motion by Councilor Gitche, take 614 out of order, second by Councilor Scott. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 614. Motion by myself, Mayor Rourke, request city manager to have law department draft a wage theft ordinance similar to the one in Centerville. Mr. Clerk. Oh, sorry. Second by Councilor Robertson. Mr. Clerk.
Noel Xavier.
Good evening, councilors, Mayor. My name is Noel Xavier. I grew up in Lowell. I went to school in Lowell. My parents still reside in Lowell. I now have moved to Methuen, but I'm here to talk a little bit about my support and our support. I work for the Carpenters Union. I've been a member of the Carpenters Union for 23 years. And for the last 6 years, I've been on the organizational side, working as an organizer, and for the last 2 years, I've been serving as director of organizing for our council. We cover the 6 states of New England and New York State. We have roughly about 30,000 carpenters that are members of our Carpenters Union. 116 of those members live and reside here in Lowell, and 17 of those members are right here with us tonight in the chamber. Thank you for coming out, everyone. And I just want to say that we are in full support of any language when it comes to wage theft and passing wage theft language in a city like Lowell. I work with a team of organizers every day that we go out and talk to non-union carpenters working out there in the construction industry. And it's unfortunate that there is a lot of wage theft and worker exploitation that happens every single day on projects out there that are getting built every day. I work closely with the Division of Fair Fair Labor Division with the Attorney General. They go after cases when workers come forward and talk about the wage theft that they're going through. And we are working right now on 6 different cases of wage theft, spanning all the way from Portland, Maine, where 22 workers haven't been paid in over 7 weeks, to Taunton, Massachusetts, where 13 workers haven't been paid in 5 weeks, to Boston, 2 different cases, and another one in Lynn, where 6 workers haven't been paid. This is all too often something that happens out in our side of the world in construction. And the Office of Fair Labor Division with the Attorney General will be the first to say it's a rampant problem that they can't take care of it on their own. They welcome any support from any of the municipalities, any support that's given. And we've worked with different municipalities on passing similar wage theft ordinances, and anything that can be done to help protect workers, to help make sure that if you go in and you work a day's work, you get paid a day's pay, is an incredibly important thing and an incredibly important step that the city can take. So I just want to say that I fully support this, and I also want to extend any support that we can do in some pieces of the ordinance that we've helped craft, actually, when it comes to the construction side of things, and even getting any of our attorneys to help out in the explanation of anything or any points. We're more than happy to help support in any way that we can. With that, I'll conclude.
Thank you.
Robert Judson.
Good evening, Mayor and the board. I'm a Lowell resident, 138 Avon Street. I got a multifamily over there. I've been a carpenter for 20 years, 12 years open shop, 8 years as a union carpenter. But this isn't just a carpentry problem. This is a community problem. You see these people that are working for cash, and if they get hurt, they say they weren't on the job, or if they owe child support, they would rather work for cash. So the people that need the money the most in the communities aren't getting it. So I think in order for Lowell to grow responsibly and fiscally, we really need to adopt any kind of wage theft, because it's a bigger problem. It's almost like you buy a red truck, you see a red truck everywhere. As someone who was exploited in my younger years as a carpenter, and I didn't have insurance, and I remember all the times that I needed insurance and didn't have it, and it was just crazy to see the difference now as like I said, as not just a homeowner, but a landlord. It's night and day, and this is what the community needs all around. And I appreciate you guys supporting your time. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. I'll speak quickly from up here. The reason we behind filing this was, twofold, and Lowell said, exploitation and also protection. People that, go out, 5, 6 in the morning, work a full day's pay, 4 weeks pay, and then go, months without receiving a paycheck, insurance, no retirement benefits, nothing at all, that they are due that process and do those benefits, and it comes forward, and then, people that should be out there, banging on nails or pouring concrete or demoing things are out there trying to fight for those people that don't have those protections. So I thought other cities and towns within the Commonwealth do it. I know that Lowell had some sort of plan in place for this, talking to the solicitor, but the idea to bring something forward similar to what other cities and towns do to make it more forceful. I think, speaking in front of this council for the past couple of terms, we're all in favor of ideas like this. And I'm willing to hear any comments from my colleagues. And what would happen, Lowell and Robert, if the dues go forward, is the ordinance will be published, go to a public hearing, so there'll be a few weeks to review it, look it over, and if there's stuff there that you think we missed, or maybe I'm sure Attorney Williams will be more stringent than any other city in town around with his background in labor. So looking forward to the future and see how it goes, and we thank you for your support. So with that being said, I'll go to Councilor Gittia first and Councilor Mercia.
I thank you for putting this forward, Mayor Rourke. I think that the wage theft needs to be put in place in ordinance to support exactly what the speaker said, so I won't belabor this, and I thank you for putting it forward.
Councilor Mercia.
So, Mr. Mayor, are you looking for us as a council to support and sign some sort of a letter in support of this ordinance?
So what we want to do is we want the law office to draft an ordinance.
Oh, I see.
With the pains and penalties of wage theft within the city of Lowell.
And would we all sign it? And
Well, my guess is if it does pass tonight, it'll come before us with the solicitor, the law office's first
So you take-
draft, and then it'll go to ordinance, which will be 2 weeks later for a public hearing, and then hopefully it'll pass at that point.
Are you taking a roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for bringing this forward. I'd like to thank the speakers. Through you to the solicitor, is there something legally with situations like this that could be crafted in the ordinance where any companies that may have been found guilty of committing wage theft in the past are banned from being issued work permits and things along those lines in the city of Lowell?
Solicitor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so other communities have done that. Somerville is, I know it's mentioned in the motion, but I've reviewed their ordinance and they have that language specifically in there. And they take it a step farther where before you even, or as a part of your package you might submit for an RFP or whatever it might be, you have to show that you haven't been found guilty by an administrative agency for any other type of wage theft or anything along those lines. If that does happen while you're in contract, you have to provide that information to the city, and then at that point, the city is able to end the contract legally with them on the spot. And you could even put in language that would restrict, or as close as you can, restricting any future business with that company in the city. So there is certainly a great deal of flexibility in the ordinance when it comes to this sort of thing.
Greatly appreciated, and I know with your labor background especially, I'm looking forward to the draft of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I do want to thank you for bringing this forward. I had no idea this was in existence. And thank you to the Carpenters Union coming in tonight and clarifying the argument you're trying to make this evening. And it's something I fully intend on supporting. But Mr. Mayor, question to you is that, well, now, will this ordinance, which when crafted, I would like the strongest language possible, to be honest. But to you, Mr. Mayor, does this encompass all union labor throughout the city? How does this work now?
It should be all labor in general.
All labor in general. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you to speakers. And I'm definitely in support of this. Thank you.
Councilor Young?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for filing this motion. I learned firsthand because we have a number of Cambodian American living in Lowell have been the victim of the wage theft, and I really strongly support the motion. And thanks to the union to come out and speak, because this is not just the carpentry area, in services areas as well. And I have helped a few Cambodian family who have worked and did not get paid, file the complaint with the attorney generals and all of that. So this is really prevalent, particularly in the minority community, and their language barriers, and they have been taken advantage of. So I really appreciate you speaking up, and thanks to Mayor for this motion. Thank you.
Councilor Gitcher?
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. Can we, just through you to the city solicitor, can we reach out to all the unions and get their input, which would be when the hearing's here, but if we can just try to reach out to all the unions so that they have some input on what the ordinance
I'm going to imagine it could be pretty strong language, knowing, the conversations that have been going on. And so, yeah, I mean, we could probably do that. And then, obviously, we'll get a first draft probably, in a little while. Hopefully, by maybe the new year or soon thereafter, there'll be a public hearing to vote on it and go from there. So, with that being said, we're going to take a roll call, Mr. Clerk. And if Mr. Baxter wasn't here tonight, I would have voted no. But since he showed up, I'll throw a yes vote behind it. So,
Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janess.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes. Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota. 10 yeas.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you much for coming by and supporting it. Have a good night. Moving on to the general public hearings, 4.1, and authorize the city manager to send notice of hearing for disposition of properties. I'll start off by opening it in favor. In favor. In favor. The portion of the meeting is closed. All those in opposition. 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 That portion of the meeting is closed. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Yem, second by Councilor Robinson. Comments? Roll call. Oh, sorry, Mr. Solicitor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would request that 2 of these properties get taken off of this list, 337 Beacon Street and 43 Hastings. 43 Hastings specifically, the purchase and sale is going to get signed, and that will be done on Thursday. We've spoken to the buyer. The city's they're going to pay up everything that's owed to the city. The property is going to be taken care of. So I spoke to the building commissioner, Mr. Fuller. He's satisfied with that property. And with 337 Beacon Street, same idea. We've been in constant contact with the property owner. They've cleaned up the property. They've pulled permits to do all the things that the city would expect. The building commissioner is comfortable with this. So I would ask that those 2 properties come off and we move forward on the other 2, 47th Ave and 290 Branch Street.
Motion by Council Robinson, take those out. Second by Council Yam. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Roll call.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke. Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. 10 yeas.
4.2 ordinance, amend fee schedule for parks. I'll start off the meeting by all those in favor, in favor, in favor. Push the meeting is closed. Push the meeting off opposition, opposition, opposition. That portion of the meeting is closed. The motion to adopt by Council Getchia, second by Council Robinson. Roll call.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. 10 yeas.
Mr. Mayor,
And the what? On the next one, no, you're just going to read it once.
Mr. Mayor? Can I make a motion to bundle 5.1 through 5.3, please?
Council Robinson, second by Council Scott. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. We have 3 utility public hearings. All will be referred to the wire inspector.
You can't bundle public hearings. Go to 4.3.
5.1, Boston Gas PB National Grid request installation of rectifier and a node bed for gas main protection along 69 Melrose Avenue. Any motion to send to wire inspector by Council Robinson, second by Council Getchia.
Now you got to open them up, Danny. They're public hearings. Yeah, you can't bundle them.
Right, I understand, right, so we take one at a time.
One at a time.
So we got a motion to send to public hearing.
You just got to open up, open a favor, open closed. I mean, I can fucking chill.
Speaking too fast for the manager now, I guess. That's for the city clerk as well. Motion by Council Getchia, send to the wire inspector, second by Council Getchia. Is there a roll call? Or is it just all in favor, Mr. Clerk?
Just all
I'm gonna get scolded again up here, all right? All those in favor say aye, opposed, motion passes. 5.2, Boston Gas, DBA National Grid. Request installation of replacement gas main on Vernon Street from 6th to Bennett. All those in favor, in favor, in favor. Push meeting is closed. All those in opposition, opposition, opposition. That portion meeting is closed. Motion to refer to wire inspector for report recommendation by Councilor Chow, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor say aye, opposed, motion passes. 5.3, Boston Gas, DBA National Grid. Request installation of gas service line for parking garage at 330 Jackson Street. Kick off the meeting by all those in favor. In favor, in favor. Portion meeting is closed. All those in opposition, opposition, opposition. That portion of the meeting is closed. The motion to refer to wire inspector by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Moving on to the City Council motion, 6.1, Councilor Mercia. Request City Manager provide information update on the land on Pawtucket Boulevard and whether it can be used to benefit veterans. Seconded by Councilor Yam. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, the VFW Hall on Plain Street is gone. The American Legion building is gone. Franco-American veterans don't have a place, et cetera, and the list goes on and on. Where is the one place that can be attributed to the veterans? Where is the one place that they can all go, that there would be a main building for every single veteran? The veterans are looking for a building. They're looking for a place for a building or something so that all the veterans who served in different branches of the service and different campaign wars can all gather under one unified place to join together. And I'm trying to let this happen, so I'm appealing to the city if there is a possibility that we could do that for our veterans, the very people that really never really asked for anything, but in their young years went off and preserved our rights to be able to sit here and assemble, to say freedom of speech, to do all the things that we call freedom in America. And I'd like to give back to them, and I'm sure my colleagues would too, to have one specific place for them to gather, not just one group, but all of them. So that's the gist of my motion. I'd like to refer this to the city manager, Yvonne Bias-Rose, Sean Machado, Connor Baldwin, if we could put our heads together and try to figure out what we could do to help them. Thank you very much.
All those in favor, Councilor Robertson, good.
Thank you. I was just curious on this motion. It says provide information update on the land on Pawtucket Boulevard. Is there a parcel that you had in mind? Specific parcel?
Ms. Bias-Rose?
The city owns a parcel at 1901, I believe it is, Pawtucket Boulevard. It's past the Rourke Bridge.
Oh, the old Wayne soccer field? That's the old Wayne soccer field.
I believe so, yes,
It has
correct.
a restroom facility with a field. Yeah,
Correct.
I know the city, and I believe the city also has where, I don't know if we still utilize, where the dumpsters used to be. A little past that also. We used to keep dumpsters for the Packer to empty out in. I don't know if that's still city property or what, but I know we had a good stretch of land over in that area. Thank you.
You gotta do it, go ahead, Councilor Getcha.
I had to, Mr. Mayor. That's the worst floodplain you'll ever see in your lifetime over there. That's why they won't let them put lagoons over there. If they could, the water department would put lagoons over there and save millions of dollars for the city. Why not look at like across from the Heritage Ice Cream in the pavilion right there and make it a nice big area where it would be a forefront when they have events and everything? Don't
The
we
spot
own
that's been
that?
bounced back and forth is not the spot that Councilor Robinson brought up, and not the spot that you did. So,
But
yeah.
over there is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I would just question.
I don't think that was a position, but,
Thank you.
yeah, sure.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-2. Councilor Getcha requests city manager of the property department reach out to National Grid, Nueco, to replace temporary patches they left in the sidewalks with the concrete that was in the sidewalks prior to the construction at the following locations: 142 Sanders Ave and Olive Ruth Street before winter. Seconded by Councilor Chow. Councilor Getcha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this motion is that at 142 Sanders Ave, the sidewalk has been like that for over 2 years. They just kind of, and I spoke to the Assistant City Manager. I thank you for getting back to me right away. Hopefully we can get this done before November 15th, and I know you spoke to them. But also in the Ruth Street area, they're ripping through these things. People are going to try to shovel, they're going to try to, and nothing is level over there. If we can just try to move that along, but 142 Sanders has been waiting close to 3 years, but I'll say 2 just to be safe, that they ripped that apart, and then there was an irrigation issue or something like that, but they never came back. If we can get that done before November for the resident.
Mr. Manager, City Manager Machado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did speak with the representative from National Grid, and they're going to do their best to get that done before November 15th. And
Their best isn't always good enough, as you know. You know,
2 years is a
again,
long
they come here week in and week out, again, as a partnership, and we give them all of these permits on the basis that these things are going to be done, but they don't come through. If they don't get these things done, I will never vote for them again until they start living up to their end of the contract. I think that's fair for residents. And, you know, they come in here week in and week out and ask for our permitting, ask for everything from us. We give. They don't pay for markouts. They don't do what they're supposed to be doing. And enough is enough with this company. So we're not asking them. We're telling them before November 15th, please get the sidewalk done.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-3. Councilor Getcha requests city manager of the property department install solar lights on top of the flagpoles at the monuments in JFK Plaza. Seconded by Councilor Robertson. Councilor Getcha.
I'm hoping that this is something that can simply be put on. I've seen them everywhere. You can just put a solar light on top. It shines down and it'll really lighten up that area. That's really, if we can look into that. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-4. Councilor Getcha requests city manager of the property department put floodlights on the pool house at the South Common facing the parking lot on South Street. Seconded by Councilor Chow. Councilor Getcha.
I want to thank the Assistant City Manager, the manager, and his staff for getting the parking lot lights lit up, because it really looks like last night when I got a picture from, I think it was Assistant City Manager, the area is well lit. The only one thing that I would ask is that we would add that pool house on so it shines right there, because that seems to be the hangout area. But you cleaned up the parking lot pretty quick with just a simple light process, so I thank you for that.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I thank my colleague for bringing this forward, and I thank the administration and the team. You guys jumped to action on that, and it's greatly appreciated. I mean, it was dark over there. It was very dark, and I'm glad that it's been resolved, and the brighter the better. I think that's one of the areas in the city that we can all identify that light it up. It puts eyes on it, not just from the residents, but police and anyone else that have to drive by and patrol. I think it assists them as well. Thank you.
Mr. Machado?
There is still a section over there that we need to light up close by the pool house, like you said, and we're looking into that. But it is a great improvement.
Still waiting for a fence too, Mr. Machado, okay? Yeah. All right, so all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-5, Councilor Getchia.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor.
if we can also take 611
You want to
together.
do both?
Yep.
6-5, Councilor Getchia, request city manager have election by Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-5, Councilor Getchia, request city manager have the election department set up early voting at the senior center for all elections going forward. And 6-11, Councilor Noon, requests city manager work with elections department to make early voting back to the senior center for future elections. As the senior center is more accessible, it has easy parking. No seconds needed.
I think the motion kind of speaks for itself that Councilor Noon put forward. It spells it all out. It's just an easier access than City Hall for the people. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-6, Councilor Getchia, request city manager have the proper department reach out to Mass DOT and request the speed be reduced on Gorham and Chester Streets, up near Westford Street, Lakeview Ave, Rogers Street between Lawrence and Nesmith, Westford Street from Chelmsford to Wood, and Stevens Street to 25-mile-per-hour zones.
Second.
I wanted to second it, Councilor Noon. I know, this is a great motion, Councilor Getchia. That's right. Second by Councilor Noon, Councilor Getchia.
Mr. Mayor, I thought you would be the second real quick on this one. It's just confusing for the police. You know, on Gorham Street, it's 30 miles an hour between Moore Street and the city line. The rest is 25. So how do you become a police officer in that area and write a ticket? Cambridge Street and Plain Street, it's 30 miles an hour between Plain Street and the city line. Other than that, it's not. Lakeview Ave, it's 30 miles an hour between VFW and the city line, except between West 6th Street and Annell Street at 25. So that's confusing in itself. Rogers Street, it's 30 miles an hour between Lawrence Street and Nesmith Street. 35 miles an hour between Nesmith and the city line. So if we can include those. Stevens Street, it's 30 miles an hour between Pine Street and Chelmsford Street only. And then in between there, you have school zones, and we have the church up there, so it just doesn't really make much sense. Westford Street, it's 30 miles an hour between Chelmsford Street and School Street, 25 miles an hour between School Street and Wilder Street, 30 miles an hour between Wilder Street and the city line. I think this is something that we have to give to our city engineer and try to push so that it's uniformed across at 25, so that, and I believe the state has been doing this in other communities and waiving the speed studies and bringing it down to 25. So I thank you, everybody in here, for listening.
Yeah, and it's just safer, right, to go slow in those areas. And even Stevens Street, where there's stop signs, stop lights, you know, it makes crazy to go anything above 25. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6-7, Councilor Robinson, Councilor Getchia. Request city manager have the city solicitor draft an ordinance utilizing the City of Worcester's Article 2, Section 22B, and the selection of mayor and vice chair as a template and incorporate district councilors into existing language. No second needed.
Thank you. I know that the motion was sent to a subcommittee, so could we get this response back to that subcommittee as well, please? Draft, if possible. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, my thoughts known on the subject. I think the way we do it now is just the most fairest way possible. So, you know, I appreciate the effort. I just can't support it. So if anybody wants to make a motion to refer, you want to get an ordinance back. I mean, this sounds like you want to have an ordinance drafted, right? So are we finalizing how we're going to do it?
So no, the reason this was brought forward like this is because the subsequent motion was sent to a subcommittee. So at least with a draft of this, it gives us a starting point for the conversation in subcommittee to take a look at. Instead of going in with nothing at the subcommittee, at least if we have a draft, we know what we're looking at.
So we want this to go to subcommittee too? Is that what we're looking for? Council Getcha.
My reasoning behind it was last week when this came out, we were told that under Plan E, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, right in front of you is Worcester. Whether it's my opinion to go one way or someone else's opinion in here to go one way, that's not what the voting is about. Whether I vote for somebody on this council or I don't, I have to accept the outcome. And the outcome is the residents wanted this. So, and then when we said Plan E couldn't do it, well, it's in Plan E here. Are there changes that could be made? Could you go from adding at large to everybody? I'm sure you can. So that's the reason why this is before us. Again, it absolutely can be done. It's been done in other communities, and that's all we're saying is it should go to the
Mr.
subcommittee
Mayor.
with the
Mr.
proper
Mayor.
information.
Council Young.
Is
Thank
he
you, Mr.
interrupting me? Is he
Mayor.
going to let me
No, I
finish?
thought you were done. I thought you were done. No, I mean, you were done speaking, right?
I was just getting to the other point, but okay.
Oh, please continue.
Again, it just comes down to the voters wanted something, and I believe that the voters have spoken, so let's try to get it done. Thank you.
All set? Council Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one thing that it seems like the maker of the motion do not understand is that we have a consent decree. We, meaning the city of Lowell, has an agreement with the plaintiff in the case of Hood versus Lowell, that the city changed the voting system to allow district representation. And in that agreement, in that consent decree, is electing the mayor among ourselves. The solicitor mentioned that if the plaintiff and their attorney even agree to change the system back to the old system of winner takes all, the judge and the court has to decide on this as well. And the judge have to be satisfied with the explanation. So this is my concern, and this is my thought on this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so the original motion doesn't say anything about going to a subcommittee, but there's been a modification to send to a subcommittee. Is that what we're looking for?
Can I just respond?
Yeah,
Since
mean,
I was
right
told
now,
I didn't understand.
Everyone else, chance to speak, we'll get back to you.
Yes.
Council Getcha. Council Shaw.
This is probably relevant. Can we take motion 6.9 at the same time?
We're almost done this one. Let's do this one now.
That's fine.
Council Mercer, go ahead.
I'm just concerned, this is about Councilor Gitchia's motion. What he is alluding to is Section B, the selection of the mayor and vice mayor, and it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but this is the way I'm seeing it, that all candidates nominated in the preliminary election for the office of councilor at large and according with, it seems that it's never once mentioning district candidates. It seems like you have to be running at large. Am I wrong in I'm saying this?
Yeah, in the motion, they do say to incorporate both district and.
Oh, are they incorporating both? Because I didn't quite
In the
see
Worcester
it.
one, no, it doesn't have that, but the motion.
But we could though, right?
We'll try it.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Right. Go ahead, Council Getcha.
Just to respond to, we don't understand. I think some people don't understand what government is. All policies, no matter who rules on what, are working documents in government. As time changes, you have the right to go revisit things. That's called government. It's called open government. It isn't a demanding government where a ruling 10 years ago sees fit today or anywhere else. They're working documents. That's why we have a solicitor. They go back, they look at things, and they say, okay, can it be done or can it be done? Just because we have a piece of paper that has a footnote that says something, an afterthought, does not mean that you can't revisit it. So there's no reason why we can't send it to a subcommittee, as the mayor has stated, and send it back. So I guess I do understand how government works, and I think that certainly you can revisit any policy that's been heard by any judge in this country.
Yeah, I mean, policies and open government are one thing, but this is a agreed upon legal document that we went through, I think, almost 3 years of.
And it certainly can be revisited. You know that, Mr. Mayor. Anything can be revisited.
Talk to it. To go forward. My question would be, why are we doing it? Why do we have the plaintiffs come forward to see what they want to do? I mean, if you, and again, I got concerns that myself, Councilors Noon, Mercia, and Chow were part on the lawsuit, and we agreed to this, agreement, disposition, how you want to say it, so would our comments have any weighted factor on going against the decree that we all approved and agreed upon a couple of years ago? And that was my concern. That's why I just, keep quiet on it. But it's just, I know what you're saying about the vote that took place. But again, we had an agreement that we went through a lot of money and time to get this done, and to revisiting, I'd be curious of any liabilities that we would have of bringing it up. But again, it's a motion that...
Mr. Mayor, just a point of order.
Yep.
If it got put on a ballot, why wasn't it ruled illegally to put on the ballot then, at that point?
You can bring up a ballot question.
And that's the point, we can do the same, we can do the same thing
That's why it's
with this.
non-binding. So, any other comments? Councilor Belanger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I do appreciate the makers of the motion trying to follow through with the will of the voters that you spoke about a year ago. And, there's certainly no harm in that. And it's well within council, their rights to revisit it. I know understand where they're getting this from. What Worcester is doing, their ordinance clearly states that it can be on the ballot for the voters to decide. But here in Lowell, we have a few hurdles to overcome. As Councilor Yem mentioned, one being the plaintiffs. And it's my understanding they are in no way favor of this because they believe strongly, and I do too in a way, that it overts back to the old system where one locality in the city can dominate and pretty much elect a mayor. And that goes against what the plaintiffs took us to court for. So that's one. And then if, let's just say they do agree, but I don't think that's the case, then we need the nod from a federal judge as well. So I'm going to support it. If my colleagues want to send this to a subcommittee, by all means, I'm going to talk about it. But I don't know how far from that point I'm willing to take this to really have the law department take this huge undertaking, time-consuming undertaking, if you will, that's going to go nowhere. So, but for now, I will support my colleagues and move this to a subcommittee, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Child and Councilor Scott.
for clarity, so this motion is to be referred to the subcommittee for discussion of the public, so nothing's been done yet, because I feel that, we'll be putting an ordinance be drafted as the motion on the paper here.
It was amended to send
It's amended to the motion for discussion. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you. I would just like to echo Councilor Belanger's sentiments that I don't see why we would want to switch from a system that gives equal representation to all the districts. This isn't just a ceremonial mayor's position. It's also the election of the 7th school committee member that represents all of us in the city. I think that the way it's done now, it gives equal representation, and going back to a winner-take-all type of a system, it just isn't the best system for the residents. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson? Yeah, I'm going to take a vote after that.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to point out, I keep hearing, why should we do this? Why did we do this? 7,200 plus residents said this is what they want to do. It's not something one or two of us are trying to do. This is something, and again, this has been brought forward by some of my colleagues in the past. You look at Worcester. It's a ceremonial position. It spells it out exactly like our mayor. Duties of the mayor in Worcester. It's identical to what our mayor is under a planning form of government. None of that changes. It's such a large undertaking. We hear that when there's something that doesn't want to get done. I mean, we have a template, and that's the reason this motion came forward, is this template was already accepted by the Secretary of State's office. Only difference with this is it's at-large candidates. We're expanding it, again, to create more opportunity in the city and say, open this process up to district candidates as well. The guidelines and the parameters are already something that's vetted through the Secretary of State's office. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is something that's in place in a planning form of government, and we're not looking to change the powers and duties of the mayor, the manager. None of that stuff changes. All we're saying, what Worcester's doing, incorporate district. There's some legwork there, yes. As far as people commenting on where the litigants are, none of us know yet, and that's why there's a motion on further down in the agenda to reach out to those that are the litigants and the plaintiffs to see what is their take. None of us should be commenting on what their take is because we don't know. That's why there's a request to reach out to those people. I mean, at the end of the day, we also hear about voter engagement and turnout. How do we increase that? We knock doors, all of us here, to try to increase voter engagement and turnout. Does putting a selection of a mayor on the ballot for the entire city increase voter turnout participation because there's somebody that somebody wants to see as the mayor? Do they decide, okay, I'll come out and vote because there's something that I want to vote for at this point? Again, we don't know, but we're speculating a lot. What the litigants think, what they don't think. That's not even our job. Our job is, can we come up with a draft, at least to start the conversation? It doesn't seem like there's even a will to draft something to begin the conversation, and pretty much the work is handed over. If we follow the language that's been vetted by the Secretary of State's office and include district councils into the language that Worcester's utilizing, I think that's a good starting point for the conversation. There's no commitment to that draft. It's exactly as it is, a draft. It goes to the subcommittee and we start the conversations. I don't see why it's such pushback, even just to create a draft document to look at and begin the conversation with plenty of time. I mean, it doesn't make sense. That's 7,200 people. That's the why when you ask it that question. Thank you.
Yeah, and just between Lowell and Worcester is we had a federal lawsuit filed against us, which took up an incredible amount of time and money, and we came to an agreement after a long period of time of negotiations. So, you know, and the Worcester model is not what you're asking for. You're asking to incorporate the district model, which, just in my opinion, that goes back to the old way of voting, right? Where there are certain councils in this room that get elected with 400 votes, 600 votes. There are other councils in this room that can't get elected unless they get 1,500, 2,000 votes. And I think that's where this consent decree came in place in the first place, and I think that's where we're at now. But we'll take a vote call on the motion to send this to a subcommittee, Mr. Clerk.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Excuse me, Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
No.
Counsel Scott.
No.
Counsel Yem.
No.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota.
6.8, Council Janess requests city manager prepare a letter to Mass DOT and a state delegation on behalf of the council, requesting that the resurfacing work scheduled for Route 110 between Lowell and Methuen be performed at night, as much as possible, in recognition of the significant impacts this project will have to the economic health and quality of life for our region's residents.
Second.
Second by Councilor Noon. Council Janess, you on?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This came up because someone called me and told me that this work was originally scheduled to be done at night, and then it was changed to be done during the day, but quote-unquote off-peak hours. And I would just think that we'd all be better off if as much of this work could be done as possible at night. And if my colleagues agree with me, I would like to ask the administration just to prepare a letter to MassDOT and our delegation asking for that consideration as they plan this project. Thank you.
Comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.9, Council Noon. Request the city manager, direct the law department to query the Hoot versus City of Lowell plaintiff's attorney regarding their opinion on direct election of the mayor by voters, knowing that both district and at-large councils are eligible, and report back to the council in executive session if necessary. Seconded by Council Mercia, Council Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back when the referendum was put forth for voters to vote, I know that at the time, I believe Councilor now State Rep Rodney Elliott and Councilor Mercia just put this referendum for voters, asking them if they want to have a say of who will be mayor. So that passed, as everyone knows, it's passed. I know that we do have consent decree. My motion simply asking the city solicitor to reach out to the plaintiff attorney and, to ask them, do they have any objection to us, elect a mayor by resident. Remember, at the time when we have discussion about the referendum, I would not support an at-large only candidate for mayor. I would not support that. I know that at the time, Councilor Murcia said the same thing, and other councilors as well. That's why I put the motion now, having an opportunity for both district and at large. There's other community have done that before. City solicitor can look into it, but before do so, reach out to the plaintiff attorney. I don't know, but I don't know why the plaintiff wouldn't be okay with it, because I feel that this is more democratic and they will have input. The voter will have input. And that's why I'm asking the city solicitors to reach out to the plaintiff attorney. And if this discussion needs to be done after coming back with a report at the executive session, so do so. But for now, I'm asking the city solicitor to reach out to the plaintiff and get a report on it from the plaintiff attorney. Thank you.
Any other comments? Council Gitcha?
Going back to a comment about at-large versus district. I was told 2 years ago you couldn't go from a district and win at large. So it's proof that you can do this. So there is no, you can't do because you got 400 votes or whatever. If the people want the person, they'll vote for the person. And if the person's up there 6, 8, 10, 20 times, that's what the people want. I mean, realistically, all it is the chair of the city council. We're not really going above that. And I just think maybe this motion will do exactly what everybody in here wants. Maybe you go there and they'll come back with one way or the other. I don't know. But at least this body did their work to put to rest a question that was on a ballot.
As a question for the solicitor, Mr. Solicitor, has the plaintiffs come to us at all about this topic?
No, they haven't come to us. I know that there were conversations with the previous city solicitor and an attorney for the plaintiffs, and that's the same attorney that I spoke to earlier in the year about a separate issue. We spoke very, very briefly about it, but we didn't get into anything of substance. They didn't give me an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, my only contention is, is that we're the defendants in the case, not the plaintiffs. If we're the plaintiffs and we came forward to try to revisit something, that's one thing. But again, we were the ones that were sued. We're the ones that occurred the costs and the time that went into it. It's just my opinion. And with your roll call on this one too, Mr. Clerk, if there's no other comments to be made. Councilor Belanger, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I was thinking if it's okay with the maker of the motion, refer this to the subcommittee along with all the others. And let's see. I'll leave for him to decide.
I mean, and look at the motion. We're not even at that point yet in the motion. If it's something that you want to just reach out to the plaintiffs to see if they're okay with talking about it is one thing, but we don't have any plan in place to go forward, right? So, so if you want to go to the subcommittee, you make Councilor motion, second by Councilor Chow.
Well,
Councilor Noon, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, the motion didn't ask to have this sent to the subcommittee.
All right, that's fair.
The motion asking for the city solicitor to reach out to the plaintiff.
So then the motion was made to send
and to see whether or not they have any objection.
Right. So we can vote on the subcommittee first, and if that fails, we'll take your motion up. So a motion on the floor now is to send to a subcommittee, Mr. Clerk.
Who was that? Belanger Joe.
Yes.
So send the subcommittee. Council Gitchia.
No.
Council Janess.
No.
Council Mercia.
No.
Council Noon.
No.
Council Robinson.
No.
Mayor Rourke.
No.
Council Scott.
No.
Council Yem.
No.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Back to the original motion, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, original motion. Council Gitchia.
Yes.
Council Janess.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
No.
Council Scott.
No.
Council Yem.
No.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
No.
Council Dakota. Motion passes.
610, Council New request city manager consider adding another ballot drop box or moving the current location outside the police station for future elections. It is safe in police station but intimidating to voters. Second by Councilor Gitcha. Councilor,
Mr. Mayor, the motion speak for itself.
may I ask why it's intimidating to people? It's a Lowell Police Department. Like, have they had a history of intimidation?
Mr. Mayor, if you remember, a lot of immigrants to this country came from countries where they see authority is not as their friend. It's somebody who is intimidate them and abuse them. I have no issue with the Lowell Police Department.
Motion certainly seems like you do.
That's right. I mean, it's a safe place. But the people that other people that said to me that they feel intimidated, that's simple as that.
Councilor Scott and Councilor Mercia.
Thank you. I actually don't have an issue with a different location or an additional location, but for me, I think it would have to be staffed pretty much 24 hours and have secure, video or something. It's just, I would worry about the security of it. And I don't know another location that would be fitting for the box, but I guess I'm open to hear suggestions. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
I just want to know if people watch the news lately and seen these drop boxes being set on fire and hundreds of ballots are burnt. So tell me how safe that is. Thank you.
Councilor Yam and Councilor Gitcha.
I think Councillor Mercier already touched upon the news that 2 area ballot box in Washington State was burned and a bunch of early voting ballots was destroyed. So that's just my concern as well. Thank you.
Councilor Gitcha.
Mr. Mayor, maybe the maker of the motion would be amendable to adding, what do other communities do? Do they put it in a library? Do they put it somewhere else that's safe? Maybe we can look at what other communities do. I think the next election isn't from a year from now, so I think we could look at other areas that are open and we could probably figure out something.
Yeah, again, my contention is that it sets a bad precedent to our police department as a city council to go along with a motion that says it's intimidating the Lowell Police Department.
Well, I think some of us grew up in Lowell and we're not intimidated by police. When you grow up in another country, there are issues. When you grow up we're so used to a civilized society that we don't understand what police are in other countries. So I understand what's being said. I'm just saying that it's nothing against the police, believe me. It has nothing from me to the police. It's just, okay, and it could have a lot of merit to it. So I think whatever we can do to engage more people and make them feel comfortable is something we should do.
Mr. Mayor, the feeling is not mine. Mr. Mayor, 34 years law enforcement. I started my job here at the DA office. I built a bridge between the Asian community and the city of Lowell. Not just that, and more so. 34 years, Mr. Mayor, I don't feel intimidated by the police department. I welcome. They do their job, they do well. I'm not putting this motion because how I feel. The voter, some of them that I spoke to, that have reached out to me and spoke to me about it, Mr. Mayor, I have no issues, securities, library, wherever, just other locations. I'm not expert in where you should put the drop box. I'm not. I'm just saying that we consider their feeling, Mr. Mayor. That's all.
I prefer we bridge the gap between those people you spoke to, Councilor Noon, that have intimidated by the police and the police department, than make assumptions, but that's my opinion. Councilor Robinson, go ahead.
Thank you. Again, I think this is, it turned into something that didn't have to be, a colleague shouldn't have to defend himself for bringing a motion forward. It's not a personal thing. This is something the constituents have expressed to him. I've heard similar from different minority groups for whatever reason, and that's just how some people feel. So it's looking to encourage and be accommodating to anyone that might have an issue. And where's a safe location? Again, I don't think any of us are sitting here trying to say where. We have organizations in the community that people frequent, whether it could be maybe CMAA, CBA, CTI. They have buildings that are secure. I mean, where you put it, that's not even the concern. They're saying, is there a way to put an election ballot box in another secure location? in addition to or outside of? I mean, I don't think it's really, he shouldn't have to justify his own career in what he's done with the
Or you
community.
vote for a motion and debate them, Counselor. You can ask questions just like any other motion that comes forward.
But to ask a colleague to have to justify and defend and make it like it's a personal failing of his own when he's bringing a motion forward in a public chamber on behalf of
Anybody is asking.
but on behalf of the residents, this isn't none of these motions are personal. This is, you know better than anyone, that we do this for our constituents, and this isn't just a motion. So I mean, to expect a colleague to have to explain himself and what he's done for the city and bridging gaps, and then asking him to continue to bridge gaps, that's crazy.
And no one did that tonight, Counselor.
All right,
Nobody did that tonight.
thank you.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Counsel Getchia. Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota.
612, Council Belanger requests city manager provide update regarding paving of school parking lots, seconded by Councilor Robinson. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a few issues with them, excuse me, in my district at the Moody School and the Riley, some potholes and whatnot. So I just thought it'd be more helpful to be inclusive and include all the schools citywide, and I think that would be helpful. So that's the spirit of the motion. Thank you very much.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 613, Council Belanger requests city manager work with the department to convert city parks to LED lighting, seconded by Council Mercia. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, as we know, a few of these, we've had issues with our open spaces as of late, in particular South Common. And even Councilor Gitchie has a motion this evening to light up certain areas of parks, and what's better to do that? I think as we go forward in any new lighting or replacement, we should replace with LED. They're more efficient. They give off far more illumination than your average bulbs, so I think that's multi-beneficial there. They get more lighting on these open spaces for us and save money at the same time. So it's a win-win. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 7, 7.1, motion responses. MVP, HMP update. Council Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd actually like to make a motion to refer this to the Environmental Subcommittee for a more in-depth discussion on the hazard mitigation and climate adaptation actions.
By Council Scott, second by Councilor Yem. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Motion response B, Greenhouse School. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Do we have a registered speaker on this?
You do. Sandra McNamara. Oh, excuse me. Yes, Sandra McNamara.
Made me nervous there for a minute. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sandy McNamara. I'm president of Centerville Community Coalition, as well as a resident of the city. I was lucky enough to go over the plan from the city engineer in regards to the drop-off, pickup. When I went over her whole plan, 98% of it is exactly what the school wanted. The other 2%, now, Victor Street is not a large street. Tiny section that maybe 5 or 6 cars can fit is what the principal would like to see pick up and drop off. Common sense would tell you, if they don't use the whole left side of Victor Street to have constant flow of traffic, drop off and pick up is not going to work. So again, she recommended a 60-day trial. I would like to see the 60-day trial be one side, the Greenhouse School side, be drop off and pick up, the whole Victor Street side, which is not a big street, the drop off and pick up. If it doesn't work in 60 days, then so be it. It doesn't work. If it does, then so be it. The parents in the neighborhood is very happy. You got to understand, I understand all schools, many schools in the city of Lowell have the same situation. But in our neighborhood, we deal with a slap in the face every day with just the construction alone. Never mind trying to it's sad. If you stood there to watch the danger those kids are in every day because of the traffic will become a dead stop. And parents will let kids out because they don't want them late and they're dreadlocked. So, and they're running up the middle of the street. And it's just so many situations. Drop off and pick up was a very first agreement before the neighborhood even agreed to let Victor Street become a one-way. Documents are here somewhere because I read them and I made sure it was clear that that was going to be drop off and pick up. So again, I would like to see the 60-day trial go to where the Victor Street side is just drop off and pick up, the whole side of the school side. And again, you need that constant flow of traffic or you're in trouble. It's not going to work. So again, I thank you for your time. I would really like you to make an amendment or something to switch the 60-day to make me and the neighborhood happy as well as the parents. Thank you for your time.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. After hearing that from Ms. McNamara, thank you to the speaker. Is there a way to refer this back for consideration to the traffic engineer? I don't.
Making a motion?
I would make the motion to refer this back with can I get the speaker back to the concerns of the speaker of the neighborhood? It's so pretty much based on her recommendation. You're looking or the neighborhood's looking for an extension of one side of Victor Street for the continuous flow of drop-off pickup location.
Correct. That was the original agreement when Victor Street became a one-way. That was one of, I should say, the demands of the neighborhood as well as the parents would be drop-off pickup in the very beginning.
So I would make the motion to send this back for consideration with the recommendation.
There's a vote tonight on for the 60-day trial. Can we see how the 60-day trial goes?
Right.
So Liz met with the schools, Sandy was there, and I think we should just see how the 60 days goes. If we need to revisit it after that, I think we should revisit it then.
But my point to that is, why annoy and aggravate the parents and the taxpayers on those streets again for another additional 60 days when it should be common sense? If you don't have that common traffic flow, you're not gonna, how are you gonna get 5 cars in the little section this principal wants? You're coming off of Beaulieu, you're coming off of Nell, onto Victor. Everybody's gonna be trying to cut into the top half to try to get their kids drop-off pickup. So they're gonna do the exact same thing they're doing now, except for she's gonna post a whole street, no parking during school hours. Why post a whole street, no parking during school hours then? If that's the case.
So that's why I was saying my recommendation, if possible, would be for consideration before we enact any 60-day. Can we have the traffic engineer just please take a look at this and consider, is this something before we enact the 60-day trial that she'd be willing to adjust? And if not, we can come back and take the vote next week. We'll be here.
Motion by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Getchia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. It's a big 2%, Ms. McNamara. Good luck. Motion response C, Superior Courthouse by Councilors Robinson and Mercia.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, first, thank you. And this is along the lines as kind of we anticipated. It is a massive project. There's so many moving pieces with the historical components and the construction of the building, all of these things with Superior Courthouse. We knew it was going to be not something that developers were going to be chomping at the bit for to line up and do for. But I mean, I thought it was worth at least exploring. And so, I don't know, I mean, we'll see, I guess, what it comes. I do agree that we would have more control over the outcome of the development of that building. But again, it's, in the meantime, we're responsible if we take ownership of this building. So that's where it's a tough decision to make, and we do have a lot of stuff in the pipeline that we're currently tied up on. So I appreciate the report, and hopefully something can change with this. Thank you.
Council Brescia?
You know.
Council Scott?
Thank you. I guess the only thing I'd like to bring up in regards to this property is the discussion around the parking. Are all the parking areas included? Like, is there any discussion of being able to separate out any of the parking from this project? Because you have the two sides of Auburn Street that are kind of not really part of the main parking area on Auburn Street. And then you have, on Elm Street. And I can see it right now with Back Central that it is going to be a huge issue if those parking lots are removed, because there are at least, the other night I went by, there were 38 cars parked between the three lots. So I just wanted to see if we can entertain some type of discussion around maintaining parking in any way. Thank you.
Baz Rose?
We've talked to DCAM about it. They're not interested in a disposition that would separate the parking lots from the main structure itself, given the size of the building and the potential for its redevelopment. They'd probably need the parking. Eventually, they think it makes it more attractive as a development to include the parking, so they have not actually been interested in discussions to separate them. We had also talked to them early on about the possibility of like some temporary agreement for neighborhood parking, like while they're trying to figure out what to do with the building. And again, just getting people into the habit of parking there is not something that they want to do because they do anticipate the sale of the building will be the sale of the building and all of the adjacent parking.
Yeah, the Auburn Street lots in particular, just the side street there, the lots at the end. Those have been used by residents with no break, and they weren't fenced off or anything. They've been using them all along, and those are also something that's off the table. It doesn't seem like part of the main project at all. They're kind of.
We don't own them, so
Yeah.
DCAM would be the folks. If they're not towing people right now, it doesn't mean that a future owner wouldn't want to secure the parking there. So it's a little hard to speak on that, but the disposition does include all of the adjacent parking that they own. They would do it as like a single sale.
We're going to have to be looking at parking in that area, and some plan around that. So thank you.
Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Rose, thank you for this report. Very valuable. This is a good thing. We pretty much have possession of both courthouses at this time as we speak. But to Mr. Mayor, through you to Giovanni, what do we have for a timetable before this? The city acts as a pass-through from DCAM to right out to the private sector, because in the interim, we'll be on the hook for security and maintenance of these monstrosities that are in pretty bad shape. So I don't want to be investing too much money there. So what do you estimate time frame to get this up?
Just for the record, Council, we do not own the Superior Courthouse.
We don't have possession? I thought as of August 7th.
No. District Court.
Okay, that's the little district.
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, in at least that one, how soon before?
So to clarify, the special legislation speaks to both courthouses, the district court and the Superior Courthouse, but that's step one. Step two is that we would sign this partnership sales agreement, and that is something that we have executed for the district courthouse on Hurd Street, and that's the document that essentially puts us in the chain of responsibility for the maintenance and security of the building. So we've been doing maintenance work and mowing and putting a fence up at the site. We are in the process. We meet with DCAM on a biweekly basis. There are steps that, just through the disposition process. So we have an RFP that we've drafted. They're currently reviewing it, and we're waiting for an appraisal to come in. Essentially, we're going to be ready to go as soon as we know what the minimum sales price will be. Okay. And then the disposition of the distribution of the sales proceeds will help we will be able to hopefully gain more of those funds the faster we're able to sell the property. And so that's what we're doing with the district courthouse. For the Superior Courthouse, the legislation allows us to enter into the same agreement. We just have not taken the step to agree to that yet.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Motion response D, double poll, 10 Parkview Ave, Council Belanger.
Thank you to Assistant City Manager Sean Machado for this very timeless response. Those folks, they are very happy. Thank you very much.
Motion response E, potholes on unacceptable streets by Council Gitcher.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Through you to the city solicitor, I want to thank you for this response. I think that there's 8 outliers here that we really have to look at, and I think we look at the least liability off, obviously, and the least cost. So I would like to make a motion to send this to the neighborhood subcommittee, and hopefully we can have the solicitor there so that we can look at the pros and cons of each, because I don't think we want to get into sewerage. I think there's a lot of things in here that we don't want to get into, and if we can dial it down to a simple, if there's a immediate need, something small. But I thank you again, because I think this is the first time I've seen anything like this, and I'm not sure that many communities actually have taken this step. So thank you again, Mr. Solicitor.
Motion by Council Gitcher, second by Council Robinson, to send to the Neighborhood Subcommittee. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Motion response H, parking issues on Fanning Street. Council Yum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Mr. Machado for the report. And I reached out to Mr. McGrade, and he's very pleased to hear his request is that when the no parking signs are available, to place it where the fire hydrant is. So this way, nobody park around the fire hydrant. That's all Mr. McGrade request, and I have given him your number for further clarification. So,
Mr. Machado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spoke to Mr. McGrade today, and there were a couple concerns that he had, and I left a message with Lily Diaz over at the apartment complex that's there. I haven't heard back from her, but I know they're in the works of getting the signage, but I mentioned his concerns about a sprinkler irrigation system with the signage.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to 7.2, information report, aggregation, new contract. Mr. Assistant City Manager.
There is a registered speaker, Mr. Mayor. Jonathan Grossman.
Good evening, everybody. Jonathan Grossman, 83 Varnum Ave. And I volunteer with 350 Mass of Greater Lowell, our local climate justice organization. And just want to say that we strongly support the city's community choice aggregation program that is being reported on. As the report states, the program has both saved significant money for Lowell residents and reduced greenhouse gas emissions, and it's added to the region's supply of renewable energy. Lowell's been a leader in this effort. I think that speaks well for it. It's good for our reputation. The new voluntary options can help with cost for those who really need it, although we would like to point out that the best way to address energy costs is for residents to insulate and weatherize their homes using the significant mass save subsidies that are currently available, and we're proud that Lowell has a sustainability division that employs an energy advocate to help people do that. We all know we have to deal with climate change before it deals with us, as it's doing now. The state has set up important decarbonization goals that are mandated, and this program is a significant step forward in implementing them. Thank you.
Mr. Assistant City Manager.
I'd like to call up Catherine Moses.
Thank you so much for the kind words from my colleagues at 350 Mass, and thank you for having the opportunity to just explain to our residents how our new aggregation contract is going to work. We wanted to put this informational out there just so people are aware when they start getting mailings at the end of the week, which will begin the opt-out process for the new contract, that they understand what they're seeing and they understand what their options are. So Lowell has had a community choice aggregation program since 2014. We've done various things in that time to help not only provide savings for our residents, but also provide emission savings for the Commonwealth through the different products that we offer. Unfortunately, we have been a victim of our own success in some ways because we were one of the first aggregations, and so when we came into the aggregation system, they didn't have these different kinds of options and levels for communities, so we would have had to have gone through the Department of Utilities to allow them to do that. We put in a request to do that about 5 years ago. We didn't get a ruling, but they did have legislation and some changes at the DPU that allow us to offer different products. So what does this mean for the average Lowellian? In the next contract, we will have 3 different options. The default option for our residents is to have the 45% above Massachusetts required Class 1 RICs. Those are the types of renewable energy assets that are newer, and so they help to feed the grid, they help to green our grid. And for those kinds of residents that have been comfortable with the type of pricing that we've been getting, and they want to continue to encourage this kind of development, you might see an average monthly bill impact of about $3.88 per month if you look at the average residential usage for 2024 per household. If you were very sensitive to pricing, because we know that prices for everything are increasing, we also have offered an opt-down product, which has 5% more than is required by state law for the renewable energy content. So again, you're adding to a greener grid, but you're actually going to be saving about $3.83 per month versus our current rate. And for those that have been looking to do more to help reduce our emissions within the climate or within the Commonwealth and to really be a climate leader, we're also proud to offer a 100% renewable option, and that impact will be about $3.25 per month for the average resident. There are going to be notifications that we'll be posting. Our website will be updated, and that'll give you the steps that you need to take. But as Mr. Grossman pointed out, we also are here to help everybody in Lowell to make their homes more energy efficient so that they reduce the amount of energy they use on a year-round basis. We have an energy advocate who can connect you with those types of programs. Again, for those experiencing significant fiscal challenges, there are also programs like the utility discount rate, fuel assistance, arrearage management, and forgiveness, and he is happy to connect you with all of those kinds of resources. So we just wanted to offer this informational to the public so they understand their options, and so Lowell can continue to lead the Commonwealth in our sustainability.
Thank you, Ms. Moses. Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you. I believe the last cycle, did we not have Colonial Power Group? Was that the?
We have had Colonial Power Group as our broker, our consultant, since we formed our aggregation. And they've been able to help us to secure the kind of pricing that's seen the significant savings for our residents over these years.
So I took your advice because I think you know what you're talking about, and I like what you have to say. So if you just left it that way, you continued on with that, is that going to be the way that it's going to be this time for the people that are listening? If we don't do anything, what would we get? The standard default of $3.88?
Correct. So the standard default rate is going to be 15.255 cents per kilowatt hour, and the average Lowellian uses about 482 kilowatt hours a month, and so that's how we came up with that almost $4 difference that you might see in your bill depending on the usage. So if you like what you have right now, you don't have to do anything. If you wanted to go down or up, you would need to make those selections or let our office know about that, and we can update your account in that respect.
Right, I understand that, which that would have been my next question, but here's the next question here. But the new option, Green 100, you said it was $325, but I see it saying $1025.
If I said that the 100% was $325, I misspoke. I sometimes am not as eloquent as I would like to be up here, but you're correct. It's about $10.25 more per month to go to 100% renewable for the average Lowellian.
So you're paying more? Is that what that is?
So for somebody, for example, I will likely opt up to the 100% as a Lowellian who's very committed to making sure that we really lead by example within the Commonwealth. I'm somebody, I have more flexibility in my monthly budget to absorb that extra $10.25, but I'm very excited that we have that option. And I would encourage those who are able to follow my example.
Thank you, Catherine. Very interesting.
Councilor Gitcha.
I just have one question through you, Mr. Mayor, to Catherine. Thank you again. Do we have a comparison study with other communities on what these numbers are compared to what their rates are in their agreements? Is there a comparison study somewhere?
So there's not really a comparison study because you're not always comparing apples to apples when it comes to other communities, because it really depends on the duration of the contract, when you go into the market, what types of products that you're offering, and other complicated things like what your capacity factor is, how many people you have enrolled in your aggregation, and things like that. But we were able to watch the market signals. I believe we just started this discussion around the March timeframe because we saw a window of time there where we thought we could get good pricing. Some of the communities around us that went to the market at a different time, for example, Dracut, I believe that their rates were actually 50% higher than their prior aggregation contract. And so we didn't want that to happen for Lowell, so we tried to find that sweet spot in the market, but it's kind of like trying to find that sweet spot for your favorite commodities at the grocery store. You're always looking to see when it's on sale, and you think you get a good price, and then the next week they drop it again. But we think that we have a good price. We have a long-term price. These are going to be locked in for the next 3 years, and we believe that our community will get significant savings from the products that we're offering.
Is there a clause in the contract, if this drops a certain percentage, you can re-up at that point?
That is not really how these types of contracts work, because once you've established the length of the contract, you really are locked into that. So there is a risk premium that's involved with that because the market in general can go up and down. That's why we tell people we tend to compare ourselves against National Grid's basic service, which changes twice a year. And typically we can be higher than their rate in the summer, Yes, higher in the summer, lower in the winter, but on balance, we tend to get savings. And most of all, it provides the kind of price stability that the average Lowellian really needs.
Thank you.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Just real briefly, so I know you mentioned it as the plan that allows people to go up, but it's actually going down. You're using less. You have the 100% renewable. In that instance that you gave, so is it the way that it works would be, yes, you pay a little bit more monthly, and you're committed to reducing your usage, and that extra that you're contributing helps to balance off others that are using more on that grid? Is that kind of how it works?
I'm not sure I understand your example.
So if you're paying more for less usage,
So you're not paying more for less usage. The scenarios that are laid out in the informational assume that your usage is going to be about what it is on average for people's 2024 usage for those enrolled in the aggregation. So if you are If you don't do anything and your usage stays the same, then these are what we would expect for bill impacts. But I think maybe what you're getting at is if you do things like if you weatherize your home and you put in insulation or things like that, you're correct. That you could bring down your usage, and that $10 a month that you said it would increase to go up to 100%, that might not even be realized because you may be able to reduce your usage so that it's an even kind of playing field. Is that what you're getting at?
See, and that's where my confusion is. So with the green option that you laid out, that you said you might opt into, why is there an increase? Why does that have the greatest increase for those that opt into that choice?
Oh, okay. So I think I understand your question now. My apologies. So the greener product, the 100% renewable product, the way that these products are priced, you have kind of a base rate that's based on the energy itself. And so regardless of which product you have, you kind of have that base rate. And then on top of that, you have a price associated with the additional renewable energy certifications. As your renewable energy certifications go up, the average price per kilowatt hour that you pay goes up. And that's why the 100% option, we think, will have an average about $10 a month impact versus the option that's 5%, which will actually see a savings for people versus what they're paying now, because right now the default option is 45%.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I need a motion to accept the place on file by Council Charles, second by Council Getchia. Council Mercer, something else?
Mr. Mayor, could I suspend the rules and allow Norma Von
Yeah,
Frickin?
we just get through the motion to accept the place on file. We'll get to you.
All right.
Motion to accept the place on file by Council Charles, second by Council Getchia. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Motion by Councilor Mercier to take 11.5 out of order, seconded by Councilor Noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.5, miscellaneous. Norma Van Fricken, request permission to address council regarding homelessness. Yeah, I get you.
Thank you, Rita. I appreciate that a lot. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening to me, and I promise I'll try to be 3 minutes. I have 2 pages, and if I can be allowed to just read these 2 pages, I'd appreciate it, even if it takes a couple of seconds past the 3 minutes. Last Sunday, I worshiped at the Elliott Church across from the street from the South Common, partly to see some of my old friends, most of them Cambodians and Africans. Such nice people. I left a little early. Walking out the front door onto Summer Street, what hit me turned my stomach, and it turned my good mood into a sour one. To the right and to the left of the entrance, up and down the street, was about 24 of the most disgusting, filthy men and women lounging around, some sleeping, some smoking reefers. In contrast, that these lovely people inside with their little children in pretty Sunday dresses and suits would be confronted by that obscenity was demeaning, insulting, and unacceptable. I talked to a lot of people who agree we are fed up with the dirty blankets, flea-infested clothing, uneaten food, cigarette butts on our doorsteps, like the Whistler House, the Senior Center, and all over town. Most of these people prefer being where they are. No social obligations, no bills, everything for free that we're all paying for. And we demand action. Hire a bus and drive them out of state, like some other cities are doing. If they don't cooperate, empower the police to make arrests, and if necessary, put them in a locked-up facility. We have to start making our own rules, like other cities are doing too across the country, if necessary. Next, make vagrancy and loitering illegal. As for our own rules, applies to finding living places for those others who are homeless due to changed, unforeseen, unfortunate circumstances beyond their control. Some are in your control, some which are not, such as changed family life and employment. That has to be changed too. I talk about it in my book. I've said it many times, in this wealthy country, everybody deserves a decent place to live. After all, what are we about if not love? Without a home, everything else falls apart, et cetera, and it just snowballs with more and more problems. Drugs, alcohol, crime, yes. How do we do that? Number one, our duty is to the citizens of this city, first and foremost. We limit immigration for a 10-year period. Canada is just doing this. Second, enact permanent tenant protection laws, as I read about.
Please wrap it up. You're getting 4 minutes.
4, I just have one more page, please.
Well, hustle, please.
Facing eviction, because these are some of the things we can do about it. Enact, permanent tenant protection laws. Facing eviction for any reason, renters must be given a reasonable time frame for vacating, justifiable reason for eviction, and or supplied with information for assistance. Next, I read we can regulate brokers' fees, turning short-term rental units into long-term leases and rent controls. Of course, my opinion is we have to regulate the entire real estate business. These are changed times. Until that happens, we must also guarantee financial restitution and other protection for landlords as tenants vacate without notice, leaving behind a costly mess. And by employing the landlord guarantee program I read about, maybe we have that, I don't know. Landlords who sign up to rent properties are assisted to help resolve problems. Last, I'm almost there. We need our green spaces. And as costs become prohibitive, we just cannot keep on building. A look into the future, because the time is fast approaching when one person is not going to be able to live in a home by himself. That's just around the corner.
I'll give you 10 seconds.
As for the homeless today, I'm wrapping it up. It means, double down and doubling up in a cooperative, an old-fashioned poorhouse. I'm thinking, and I spoke to city manager about this, the Tewksbury Hospital site would suit this purpose. We should approach the state. These are changed and desperate times that call for desperate measures. There's enormous misdirected money and resources in this city. I could point some out to you. I don't want to name any names. We have to prioritize, and we have to increase taxes. Of course, in these changed times means other changes need to happen. I talk about them in my book. I'm almost done. I got one short paragraph. The ultimate mission, make homelessness illegal nationwide, with the long-term goal, reduce or eliminate welfare through social change and employment, helping the environment through conservation, and everybody with a good place to live. Let's make a difference here in Lowell as a compassionate people, end homelessness now, and make beautiful and safe days in our neighborhoods. Thank you. Good night.
We're going to motion to place on, special report of parking placed on file by Councilor Mercer, second by Councilor Noon. Mr. Van Frick, in the future, when you're going to come and speak to us, please practice for 3 minutes. I don't like cutting you off. I don't like cutting you off. So it's a 3-minute speech from now when you come forward. I hate interrupting you. I don't want to do that to anybody. But just make sure it's 3 minutes next time, okay? Thank you very much. 7.3, City Manager requests out-of-state travel, Lowell Police Department, and 1 DPD. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Robinson. Is there a roll call? Yes. Roll call, please.
Counsel Getchia. Yes. Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. 10.
8, votes for the city manager. 8.1, vote to accept or expend park grant and dedicate park at 68 Jackson Street. Waive the full reading and, second reading by title.
Why did we not bundle these?
Vote. Authorize the city manager to apply for, to accept, and to expend a parkland acquisitions and renovations for communities grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Division of Conservation Services, for the construction of the new Jackson Street Pocket Park at the city of Lowell. Motion to adopt by Councilor Mercer, second by Councilor Getchia. Roll call.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. 10 years.
8.2, authorize city manager extend the parking agreement with Middlesex Community College. Second reading, authorize the city manager to renew the lease agreement with Middlesex Community College for the parking spaces at the Joe Downs Senior Municipal Parking Facility, the Lowell Locks Parking Facility, the Leo A. Roy Parking Facility, the Edward Early Municipal Parking Facility, and the Ayotte Municipal Parking Facility, and the Davidson Street parking lot in the city of Lowell for parking to support Middlesex Community College Lowell City Campus. Motion to adopt by Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Yem. Councilor Getchia.
I just got a couple questions for the parking director. He's been waiting, so I know he's been waiting for questions. So one of the things about rates, it says that we calculate the overage after the 3 years or at the end of the 3 years. Why don't we do that each year? Because I agree with them that if you wait the 3 years, it should go down. But I don't know why we would go from $4.50 to $3 if they're over after the 3 years.
So we will we'll look at the end of the fiscal year, and we'll see if they're over. I think the average this year is for 63,000.
Yep.
Okay, if it's over the 63, that's when the last payment of the fiscal year, they'll make up the difference for the year. So we're not looking at the past 3 years to do that. We'll do it every fiscal year. We'll go back and we'll charge them the $3, the lower rate for anything over the average.
That's my question is why, if they're over, do we have to charge them less? Why wouldn't we just charge them the same rate right through? If they're over, they're over. Our maintenance costs and everything don't go down because there's more people in there or more vehicles in there. I don't understand why if they go over that amount, the price goes down.
There was no, it's just to say that, we could look at that and make a change. We've just never done it that way in the past. It's anything over the average. We've always gone a lower number over the average. There's nothing that says, we could adapt, make an amendment to that and say, okay, anything over the average will be charged the same price.
Yeah, because to me, I would ask that change would be included in this, that they would pay the same rate no matter how many cars are in or out, because nothing in our world has gone down. And in your world, you've seen it. We've in deficit after deficit. So I don't understand when you're over 63,546 validations that it should go down. Why wouldn't it go down at, say, 20,000? Or why wouldn't it go up at 40? I would think if you're using something more than what's designed for, it would actually go up because there's more wear and tear on those buildings than would be normal. So I don't know why it would go down if there's more wear and tear on it, that's all.
Completely understood. Yep.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CFO, I would take it you're probably the person who knows the most about this contract and actually is negotiating back and forth on it. Is this something that is easy to change, or is this something we should look at not this 3 years, but forward 3 years from now?
CFO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the form of the lease that's in front of the council tonight is a product of negotiation that has happened between the college and the city. It is our proposal and our recommendation that it's accepted as is. Certainly your comments are well taken, and we can think about those going forward. I will say that Middlesex Community College, aside from being a very important partner of the city, is one of our largest customers in the parking enterprise. And so, they are facing issues of less employees coming to work. There's a lot more remote work happening with the community college, and a lot more students doing remote schooling. So we thought it was a good cost here, a good secure source of revenue for the parking enterprise, and that's why we feel comfortable putting this forward as is. But next time around, we'll certainly take that into consideration.
I would still ask this time, because as the speaker had said, that this was how it's always been done. So it really wasn't much of a negotiation if this is the way. And if anything, if there's more people who are not using it, it won't hit this stage, so they have nothing to worry about if it goes over. If there's more people remote, and if there's more students and teachers remote, then they'll never hit this. So there shouldn't even be a pushback on it from their end if there's more people not using the facilities because they're remote, as you outlined. I just think that this is like, again, where my job here is to represent the city infrastructure and the most we can get for the money that could be used. We're getting $450, but if we go over $63,546, we get $3. And if there's no loss for them if you're saying most of them are at Zoom and they're not here. So I would ask that I would make a motion that all validations are at $450, no matter if it goes over the $63,546. I'd put that in the form of a motion.
By Councilor Getchia.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep. Councilor Jess.
can I just be noted as recusing myself on this item?
You got it. Councilor Jess recused himself. Is there a second on this?
Thank you.
Second. I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Roll call.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out, though, one thing that we also have to take into consideration and factor in is it was brought up by my colleague, too. They just made community college free. So I think we're going to see an increase in students as a result of that. I mean, I'm sure once they get up to speed on staffing levels over there, I think we are going to see an increase in students because, again, there is programs that it's free education, which I think is a great thing. So I don't know how that's going to factor into some people's decision making here. Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for clarification, thank you for the CFO for explanation of the hard work of negotiation with Middlesex Community College. They are an important partner. They are one of our biggest clients for the parking. And I know they do everything in their best interest to watch out for the city as well, because they are part of this city, they're part of the community. A lot of students come from the city of Lowell. So I will support the proposed vote on the agenda. With the motion on the floor, how does it work? If it fail or pass, if it fail, we go back to the vote on the agenda, or how does it go?
If it passes, it goes back to the CFO and to negotiations.
Mr. Mayor.
But the councilor made a motion.
There will be no vote tonight on this. If Councilor Getchia's motion passes, there's no vote on 8-2, and it goes back to negotiate.
Okay.
Councilor Noon?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to add, I understand Councilor Getchia's is where he come from on this, but I just want to add that, the CFO already expressed that just a few minutes ago. MCC is one of our best partners. I mean, DEI, this city hall learn of DEI through with their support. They give us a lot of stuff. And as CFO indicated that they one of the people, the people that use the parking. And a lot of these people, a lot of young people, students, they're not, deep pocket. They're a working class family. And so I think also furthermore, I just want to say that this I've been dealt with. The managers and his team has already, negotiated with MCC with that understanding in mind. Knowing that MCC, Middlesex Community College, is one of our key partners in the city. And also, I would say this to you, that I have to honor the manager's, negotiation in good faith with the CFO in supporting the MCC. So, that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to vote to support this request.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we could just get a little clarification from our CFO, when you say this has already been under negotiations, I mean, I know we give that authority, obviously, to negotiate the rates and then come back to us for approval. I mean, so has there already been an understanding and agreement with Middlesex that this is what they're expecting to see? I guess I'm trying to see where you are with this. Are you able to go back at this point and renegotiate? Like, I don't want to look like we're negotiating in bad faith and we're turning, changing what we had agreed to is my only concern.
CFO.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think it's understood by both parties that this agreement is subject to the approval of the City Council. If it is the will of the council for us to go back to Middlesex, we will do that. But I will also note that the rate in this agreement is increasing year over year. So, we are gradually bringing them up to the market rate, and that was something that was it was a difficult point of negotiation with the community college, and so there was give and take on both sides of the table.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I mean, it's a good point that's brought up by Councilor Gitchie. I mean, the parking enterprise operates in the red. Middlesex Community College is our partner. We want to give them the best favorable deal that we can. That being said, Mr. Mayor, through you to the parking director, Terry, do you know where this number's at of overages now that we're at the end of the contract with this? If the students are at home more and more remotely learning, and in other words, is this even an issue? Are they even at or near the overage?
So the 63,000 number is an average of the past 3 years. That's how we calculate it.
Okay, that's
This students have been coming back slowly, but certainly that average took a hit a couple of years ago with the pandemic.
Right.
So it dropped, and now it's trying to come back. Can I tell you there's going to be a lot of more people over 63,000? I can't tell you that right now, but based on the free tuition and things like that, that could be something we'd run into. Now, we could also look at, this is a 3-year contract that I have to amend every year based on that 3-year average. So next year, that 63,000 will be a different number, probably slightly higher. We may want to look at, when we make that amendment, make that change for the number over the validation average that's agreed to. Maybe next year we incorporate the full 450 rate. We just leave it the way it is now and just kind of help them claw back their students and get people back into their building and things like that. That would be another option.
Councilor Gitchie.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we were talking about validations, not about pass cards. So we did not go up on validations. Actually, we went down. If you look at the COVID numbers, there were less people in that building. So what happened is when you take that 3-year average, the average is going to be much lower, driving the cost down for us. So they're going to go $3 instead of $4.50. So let's not fool anybody here. As the speaker said, the thing was down because we're in COVID time. So if you take a 3-year period average of that time, you're going to have a lower average than you normally would, thus throwing everybody over that average and paying $3 versus the $4.50. So there is no savings here. The thing that they went up on was pass cards, not validations. Validations for the 3 years are still at the $4.50 rate. And actually, we went down on it if you take the number and you look at the average number over the 3 years. So we are losing money here. And we can't keep bleeding and going back and forth to our residents and asking for more money while people are taking the prime spots up. I agree with every speaker here who has someone who they like at Middlesex Community College and all that stuff. They are great partners. This isn't about partners. This is about trying to make a business out of the city, as we tried in the downtown with parking and prices, as the CFO has said all along. We got to start trying to price people into areas of use. What's happening? And these are taking the prime spots. So that's the reason why I said it. That's the reason why we're looking at it. We have to be serious about these things, or we're going back to the downtown and saying, okay, we got to raise you up again because we're offsetting cost. More cars, more wear and tear, more cost. Capital planning. and that's what we're going through. Thank you.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Excuse me,
Counsel Getchia.
excuse me.
Yeah.
What are we voting on first?
Send it back.
The original?
No.
The,
Council Getchia made a motion, second by Council Robinson.
oh,
Send it back.
okay.
Counsel Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess. Counsel Mercia.
No.
Counsel Noon.
No.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
No.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
No.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
No.
Counsel Dakota.
So back to the original motion, original vote, Mr. Clerk.
On the original, Counsel Getchia.
No.
Counsel Janess. Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota.
8.3, vote MRF FY 2025. Going to give the first reading and a motion to refer to a public hearing on November 12th, 2024. Oh, just motion, okay. I just motion to refer to a public hearing on November 12th, 2024 by Council Noon, second by Council Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 10, subcommittee reports. 10.1, nonprofit organizations subcommittee, October 22nd, 2024. Chairman Getchia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The minutes of the Nonprofit Organization Subcommittee held on October 22nd, 2024 in the City Council chambers. Presents were Councilor Noon, Councilor Robinson, Councilor Yem, Councilor Mercia, Councilor Belanger, and Councilor Dakota. The subcommittee invited Shayla Carlisle, Greater Lowell's Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, to provide information on the organization. Ms. Carlisle outlined many programs from partnership in our area with municipalities to create affordable housing, income-based programs, financial assistance programs, financial education programs, to natural disaster relief programs. A motion was made to request the city manager and DPD work with Habitat for Humanity and reach out to Ms. Carlisle with regards to affordable housing in our city if possible. And those are the minutes from the meeting. Thank you, if any of my colleagues. Thank you.
Motion to accept the report of progress by Council Mercia, second by Council Child. Favor say aye. Motion passes. 10.2, Cannabis Control Subcommittee, October 29th, 2024. Chairman Robinson.
I'll have the report next week, Mr. Mayor.
The next week, November the 5th. 11 petitions, 11.1, claims for property damage. Motion to refer to Law Department for a report recommendation by Council Belanger, second by Council Scott. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.2, miscellaneous. Dorothy Sweeney requests installation of a handicap parking sign at 70 Manchester Street. A motion to refer to transportation engineer for a report recommendation by Council Scott, second by Council Yem. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.3, miscellaneous. Nicholas Tobia requests installation of a handicap parking sign at 140 Farmland Road. Motion to refer to transportation engineer for a report recommendation by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.4, Sophie Tron requests installation of a handicap parking sign at 27 Chapel Street. Motion to refer to transportation engineer for a report recommendation by Councilor Janess, second by Councilor Noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. And 12, executive session. 12.1, executive session. To consider and discuss ongoing negotiations relative to Lupoli Companies LLC, public discussion of which could have a detrimental effect on the city's position. The motion to enter executive session and adjourn from that session by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Mercia. Roll call. Yep. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Counsel Getchia. Yes. Counsel Janess. Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon. Yes. Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota.
I have a quick announcement, Mr. Mayor.
Don't go yet.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
We want to wish our mayor a happy and healthy birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did we adjourn? Oh, oh.